You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, we are discussing how you don't get what you want, you get what you believe you deserve. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Okay, if you are a high-achieving woman who is tired of chasing goals that leave you feeling burnt out, maybe unfulfilled, or constantly proving your worth, this episode is for you. Because today we are blending some of the most powerful tools from neuroscience, habit research, energy management, and spiritual teachings to help you realign with your truth. So we will be covering why identity drives everything, including your habits, results, and energy, how to build identity-aligned habits, and this information is really inspired by James Clear and Benjamin Hardy. Love their books. Highly recommend. We are also going to talk about the neuroscience of internal joy versus external validation, tiny shifts that create massive identity upgrades over time, and what it really means to choose what you want most over what you want now. But before we get into this, I want to share a story with you because this was a bit of the inspiration for this episode. I had such a wild experience over the weekend. I was doing lunch and nails with one of my nieces, and I had a little bit of extra time before we were going to meet. So I went back and I visited the little girl who broke her collarbone at the trailer that she lived in on Hidley Road. I then took a ride to check out a little girl who lived on Birch Drive in an apartment. That little girl, by the way, was told that if she went out for a walk up the hill, she might have a chance to see the cute boy that lived up there. She was, in fact, pretty plus gal. I'm not sure if they even talk about pretty plus anymore. I'm sure that's probably not allowed these days. It did seem a little harsh back in the day. Listen, the girl liked to read. She didn't really want to have to get out and exercise, so she needed a bribe to move. Then I went, gave a little love to a girl who slept in the back bedroom of the apartment on Main Ave, waiting for her mom to return from the bar across the street on weekend visits. I swung to the trailer on Snyder's Lake Road, where the elementary kid would call her friend, who lived up the driveway, but she really didn't want to have to walk up there. In fact, that little girl was also told it's the reason she had fat legs and skinny fingers. Maybe, again, we go back to turning too many pages on those books. And then for sure, I took the time to be seeing the fun, young, 20-something gal that lived in the sugar shack with her roommate on Brookside. Oh my gosh, if you only knew. This is where we can probably cue Shania Twain, and this one's for the girls, right? And then, of course, there was a quick check-in on the young woman who saw her dad take his last breath at her high school home. Now, what does all this mean? It means that we are our identities. We are what we believe to be true in different seasons, right? And I talk about collapsing time, and I talk a lot about it with my amazing friend, Rhonda. This is what this is, right? So in 30 minutes, I went through 51 years. Literally, think about a time, a place that maybe for you resonates, and I'm sure you can be brought back there in an instant. And I want you to question, how often do you allow yourself the time to check in on how far you have come? How much has your identity changed? And how much more do you think is possible? Here's the thing. We talk about when I get there, I will be happy. I will feel proud when I get the promotion or have the relationship, whatever it is, right? Or sometimes on the flip side, right? We talk about like, oh, those were the good old days. Remember when we had no money? We just thought it was all so fun. First off, did we actually really think it was fun in the moment? Sometimes not so much, but looking back now or looking forward, we think it's going to be different. But the truth of the matter is, these are the days. Today is the day. So I want to talk about how you can enjoy that and make the most of what is yet to be possible. And before you even do that, think of your past self and love every version of her. Learn from every version of her, and then think about your future self. How do you think she feels? Because what you want to do is decide today what goes on your dash. Like the dash between your start date and your finish date, what do you want most? You get to feel all of that right now. And here's how. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start with identity, okay? Not outcomes. James Clear said it best in Atomic Habits. Every action that you take is a vote for the person that you want to become. And when we focus only on the results, hitting the quota, getting the promotion, losing the weight, we're chasing the outcomes. But outcomes don't last if the identity doesn't change. And from a neuroscience perspective, our brain filters the world through our reticular activating system. I've talked about it a number of times here, right? That is the network that directs attention towards what aligns with our dominant identity and beliefs. Here's just one example, right? Like, do you think you are a leader? You don't need the title to be a leader. What do you tell yourself? Because if you tell yourself, I'm a leader in every room that I show up in, guess what? You are going to start acting as such. Because when you shift your identity, you truly start to believe that you're someone who follows through, that is a leader, someone who succeeds. Your brain begins to look for ways to support that new reality. It is so wild. Benjamin Hardy expands on this in his book, Personality Isn't Permanent. Again, highly recommend. I think I have a podcast. Oh gosh, I forget what number it is, but if you search, I definitely did a review of his book. And he explains that your future self must dictate your present actions, not your past. And most people live in reaction to who they've been, not in creation of who they are becoming. And I have to tell you, if I think back to the little girls at all of those locations and all parts of my life in the past, holy Hannah, she would never imagine that we are where we are today. So think about the habits, the beliefs that you have, and understand that it is all malleable. It can all be changed when you consciously choose who you're becoming and you build daily rituals to reinforce that. And this is where aligned energy starts. Clarity of identity. So ask yourself, who do I want to be in 3 months from now? What would she believe about herself today? Then reverse engineer your habits from that identity. And I want to take another kind of twist here, and I want to talk about the joy within versus external validation, because I think so often when we're going through life and we think we're going to, reverse engineer these habits, it's with the understanding that we'll have some external validation. That is not the purpose of your soul. The purpose is to feel joy in your life. And neuroscience shows us that your brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a lived one. So when you visualize a future moment, a confident sales pitch maybe, or a relaxing walk on the beach, maybe hitting your quarterly number, your brain begins producing the same neurochemical cocktail like dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, as if it were actually happening. And as you repeat this visualization with emotion, your nervous system adapts and you start reprogramming the brain and the body down to the cellular level to normalize the experience. So you create safety for expansion. And this is what is so important. I've talked about spirals of growth, but we need to feel safe in the expansion or we will just not continue to grow. It is essential when you're on the rise to feel this safety, or else you will self-sabotage. This is what changes your energetic set point. And so we all have these internal thermostats, and it's really an idea of like, what do you think you're allowed to receive? Could be love, could be money, but these set points are shaped by repeated experiences and belief systems. Remember, belief systems are just thoughts that we've thought over and over and over again, and they become a belief. And they can be changed. So unless they are consciously updated, these are your limiting thoughts. And oftentimes we like to argue for our limiting thoughts. Really has no upside. So you want to, again, consciously update what it is that you're believing. Kathy Heller says, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you think you are worthy of. Think about that. You get what you think you are worthy of. And most of us are unconsciously conditioned to cap our success and joy because our inner dialogue tells us that we're not quite enough yet. But you can train your body to feel worthy now. And when you do, you'll find that you no longer have to chase joy because you generate it. So here's your reframe. Stop waiting to feel confident, successful, or fulfilled. Feel it now. Teach your body it is safe to feel good, and your life will start to mirror that belief. How often do we kind of knock ourselves down? We don't want to feel too good because what if the other shoe drops? Why do we do that? It's optional. We do not have to do it. In fact, it's so funny. I was talking to one of my doctors recently, and we were talking about the soul's purpose and about how joy and happiness comes from within. And he's a little bit older than I am. And he's like, why do we have to be geriatric to figure this out? I'm like, hey, now, speak for yourself. But this is why we do this podcast, right? To try to help people get it sooner in life so you can enjoy more of your life. And one of the big things that will help you with that is having systems in place. So systems over willpower. And I want to talk about like practical things, right? Darren Hardy and the Compound Effect, again, another book I talk about a lot here, so good, shows how success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Mark and I talk about this all the time. Consistency is king. Tiny choices made daily stack up to create massive momentum. And this is where the idea of minimum baseline becomes super powerful. Now, a minimum baseline is the smallest action that you commit to no matter what. So it creates momentum without burnout. So maybe it's 5 minutes of breath work. Maybe it's 10 minutes of movement. Maybe it's one sentence in your journal. It is progress over perfection. And you set the bar low on purpose so that you do not break the chain of consistency. James Clear calls this reducing friction. Make it easy to win. So if you want to move more, put your sneakers at the door. Do you want to hydrate? Keep your bottle filled and visible. You know what I did for this? I just recently finally gave in. Mark has been telling me to get this huge cup that keeps water cold for a long time, and I finally did it. And I have to tell you, I got a really pretty color. I take care of it the night before, and I drink it all day long. I'm hoping that this is the key to I will drink more water day one, right? If you listened to the most recent podcast episode where I talked about day one versus one day, that is definitely my day one adventure that I'm working on. Okay, let's get back to this. Molly Fletcher also teaches that elite performers don't just manage time, they manage their energy. So this means creating rituals that match your energy patterns, scheduling deep work maybe during your peak hours, and then rest when you are naturally lower. Because when you align your systems with your biology and your identity, success becomes sustainable. And listen, again, it is progress over perfection. 1% shifts for your identity, that is level up changing that will last. You do not need to burn it all down to create change. And I have been in coaching programs where they talk about that. Burn the bridges. Everything has changed. Not a fact. In fact, those 1% shifts, they are the change. James Clear calculates that if you improve by just 1% each day over 365 days, you'll end up approximately 37 times better. That's not a metaphor. It's exponential growth in action. And the math behind it is 1.01 to the 365th power, and the result is over 37. Yes, I did have to ask Chat about that math because, as you know, I'm a communications major. But it really shows how small actions compounded daily produce massive transformation. Benjamin Hardy also reminds us that your current self is a bridge, not a boundary. So you are meant to evolve. Being ready is a decision. You don't wait for confidence or clarity to arrive. You claim it now. Even a small action sends a signal to your subconscious. This is who I am now. This is where habit stacking comes in, because pairing a new identity habit with an existing routine, so maybe it's like brushing your teeth or making your coffee, maybe you're logging in on your computer, that makes the shift nearly effortless. So here are some examples. After I pour my coffee, I say my identity statement out loud. Or maybe after I close a meeting, I document one way that I led with integrity. That is how you build trust with your future self. And then I want you to think about, what is it that you want most versus what is it that you want now? Because let's be honest, this is the daily fork in the road, right? Do you choose what feels good right now? So maybe it's like the scroll, the snack, the extra glass of wine, the snooze button. Or do you choose what you want most? Freedom, peace, purpose, joy. And this tension has been studied. There's a famous Stanford marshmallow experiment. Children were given the option to either eat one marshmallow now or wait 15 minutes and get two. And the kids who delayed gratification, again, 15 minutes, were shown decades later to have higher SAT scores, better stress tolerance, and more successful careers. So what does this teach us? Delayed gratification is a core muscle of long-term success. And you're not born with or without it. You actually build it. And Darren Hardy says that your future is hidden in your daily habits, right? So again, you see the theme here. Habits. We talk about Hardy, Atomic Habits, James Clear. We talk about Benjamin Hardy. Don't get confused. There's Darren Hardy I'm talking about and Benjamin Hardy. Two different folks, both with great information. And Benjamin Hardy actually reminds us that your future self is counting on you to delay what's easy now for what's extraordinary later. I want to read that again. Think about that. Your future self is counting on you to delay what's easy now for what's extraordinary later. So here's the invitation. Each small decision today is a brush stroke on the masterpiece of your life. What are you painting? We also hear folks say you are writing the chapter, right? However you want to think about it, the bottom line is you are in charge. You are the creator, and you can work with divine, aligned actions that are inspired and become that next best, most fun, fulfilled, joyful version of yourself today. So let this episode be a fresh start. Looking at how identity drives habits, not the other way around. I want you to think about internal joy being your birthright, not a transaction, and not something that you get from external sources. Think about how systems and minimum baselines support your future self. Remember, habit stacking makes change feel easy and real. Small aligned actions compound into massive results. Allow yourself the opportunity to make it easy. And every moment is a chance to choose the woman you are becoming. So today, write your identity statement, then back it up with one tiny intentional action and make it so small that you can't not do it. You already have everything you need. Truly, it is all within you. Now is the time to act like it, because it's not about getting there. It's about living it now. And remember, it's your time. Let's do this. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Let's meet back here next week. But for now, make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.